These are 10, I can't use both hands because one hand's holding the camera, lifestyle upgrades that come with moving to Venice, Florida. The first is beach proximity. Gotta love being close to the beach. World-class beaches, I would say, in fact. So here's the cool part about Venice. You got access to our beaches, which we're known as the Shark's Tooth capital of the world. So what that means is a few things, and I want to present, as always on this channel, the pros and cons of everything. So there's some upsides and downsides to our beaches that I want to make sure are clear, so you know what you're getting into if you're thinking about moving to this area. Our beaches have a ton of shark's teeth on them, and you might be like, oh my gosh, is there all kinds of sharks in the water? Well, maybe a few, but what I'm actually talking about is prehistoric shark's teeth. They're usually black, and you can find a lot of them on our beaches, and that's why we're known as the Shark's Tooth capital of the world. You can also find a ton of seashells on our beaches, which is something that makes our beaches unique. However, that also brings some other qualities to like the sand and things like that. There's more shark's teeth and seashells and things like that in the actual sand. So when you're walking around, the sand is a little more coarse and a little more rough, and some things can sometimes poke into your skin a little bit. I mean, you're not gonna cut your feet, but it might not be the most pleasant at times. So I just wanna make sure I'm clear about that. Also, we've got one beach that I think is interesting and really, really cool. I'm gonna bring up an issue with it, but it's not an issue as much in the winter months, but in the summer a little bit more. And I'm talking about Casperson Beach. So Casperson Beach is cool because there's a boardwalk that goes along the beach. So if you don't want to actually get sand on your feet and stuff like that, you don't have to. But also there's these big rocks in the actual water. And that's the beach where you can find a lot of shark's teeth and seashells. In fact, there's actually like one area where there's always like this mound of shark's teeth and seashells just sitting there where you can pick through it. But that beach also has some really darker sand, and the sand's like almost like black in spots. And since that sand is black, the sun really soaks into it and it can get hot. Like literally feels like it's burning your feet. It might even be burning it a little bit if you're standing on it too long. So one thing to consider with that. And then the other thing is our beaches generally, as you get into the water, have a little bit more of an abrupt drop off. Like you'll go from like ankles in the water to like waist in the water really, really quick. But then after that, it's kind of levels off for a while. But just one thing to keep in mind is you got kids and stuff like that, I think it's more of an issue for. But overall, I mean, our beaches are awesome. They're gorgeous. We got a fishing pier where you can fish without a license, and a tiki hut restaurant at the base of that called Sharky's. Awesome food, great vibes. And then upstairs is another restaurant of that, and that place is a little more upscale. That place is called Finn's. And then we've got a jetty, which has been under construction for the last 6 months to a year. Keeps kind of getting beat up from hurricanes and storms, and so they're totally revitalizing the area to try to prevent any more future issues so it can be open all the time. And if you don't know what a jetty is, it's kind of like a fishing pier, but it sits closer to the water and it just goes out quite a ways, and it's a great spot to see dolphins and sharks. But the reason I said, you know, the range of beaches and the options is awesome here is because of not just what we have in Venice. We are just about 30 minutes, depending on where you live in Venice, probably about a 30 to 45 minute drive, maybe even like a 20-minute drive to get up to world famous Siesta Key Beach. Now that's a totally different beach experience. There you are talking about powdered sugar, fine sand that never gets hot. It is cool to the touch, and it is so fine that it literally feels like powdered sugar. And on top of that, the drop off is very, very gradual. And it's just this huge open sandy area. It's multiple years been voted the #1 beach in the United States. A lot of friends and family that we have come to the area, we take them to that beach and they're like, yep, that was my favorite one. So me, it's actually not. My wife Haiti, who's on a lot of the YouTube videos, that's her favorite beach. By the way, we have a real estate team here. If you're looking to buy or sell a home anywhere from Sarasota down to Port Charlotte, Inglewood, get a hold of our team, 941-221-1897. We've helped a lot of people move to the area, avoid mistakes, and save a lot of money. And of course, get answers to those questions that are sometimes impossible to find answers to online. In fact, a lot of them are impossible to find answers to, and we can help you with all that kind of stuff. The other thing I want to point out is another beach south to us, or beaches, and they're a little more quieter, less traveled. Inglewood is the city I'm talking about, and Inglewood Beach is a little bit more busy during like the winter months, but these other beaches still get busier, but they're quieter as a whole. And you know, that's both seasons, so you know, you don't have to deal with quite as many people. And what we're talking about here is Minnesota Beach and Blind Pass Beach. Overall, I would say these beaches have a similar vibe to Venice. You can still find a lot of prehistoric shark's teeth and seashells, but they vary from beach to beach how much seashells and shark's teeth you can find on them, and the drop off can be a little more gradual on some of them. It just depends from beach to beach. Again, if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the area, get a hold of us so we can talk more about those details. Oh, and I almost forgot, I don't know how, because I'm a huge dog lover. We have a dog beach. And that's not super common in Florida to have a beach where you can actually have your dog off leash, which is really, really cool. So that's another thing that we have. And there's actually like a little dog park too that is like you park on the road, and then it's the dog park area, and there's like a wash station, and then you walk through this walkway, and then that takes you to the actual dog beach. So it's a nice little setup for all kinds of stuff to do with your dog there. Okay, second reason that moving to Venice will upgrade your life. But I really quick want to apologize for the last shots that were super close up on my face. I didn't realize the camera was zoomed in. Sorry you had to see all this so close. But the second thing that will upgrade your life is year-round outdoor activities. I don't have to go into this one too in depth, I don't think, because like that's the reason a lot of people want to be in Florida to begin with. They want to get out of the cold and the snow and the winters and be stuck inside. Now, I know some people will say, yeah, but you can't do anything in Florida in the summer. You sure can. You can go to the beach and cool off. You can get into the pool to cool off. You can stay inside in the air conditioning and stay cool, and then come out in the evenings or in the mornings when it's cooler. So you can still get outside, but we got so much activities. If you've been watching the channel at all, you know I love to walk on nature trails or areas like this and like near downtowns and things like that. That's a nice thing I like to do. But you can do kayaking, there's golfing, there's all the different beach activities, seashelling, snorkeling and swimming and sunbathing and all that kind of stuff. Looking for dolphins at the jetty and things like that. And then on top of that, any other stuff on the water with boating and fishing and all that kind of stuff. We've got, I don't know if I mentioned already, biking. There's sometimes like food truck events and things like that. There's just always stuff going on, especially in the winter months. Like you go to like downtown Venice and there's always so much going on there in the winter. Activities galore. But yeah, if you want to be out more, get out, be healthier, get more sunshine, can't beat that. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned it, but I don't think I need to, because it's like what people think of when they think of Florida, golf. We got a lot of golf here, so don't worry, we got you covered on that side of things as well. Very closely related to that, health and wellness. Venice is great for this. Again, it ties a lot in with the outdoor stuff, but again, there's lots of walking trails, biking, there's beach yoga, there's different groups for different fitness activities. There's always kind of like pamphlets and flyers and things up in the downtown Venice area, or like Welland Park here. There's a lot of things often going on in their downtown too. So like, throughout this area, there's so much to do. One question I want to actually answer here, because we get it on the channel from time to time. Yes, we have gyms too if you want to do the indoor thing. We've got a Planet Fitness. I want to see it's like Anytime Fitness. I forget the names of them. I see them all over the city. There's a bunch of them. It's like B Fitness or something like that right next to there's like a Poke place and Joint Chiropractic and Tropical Smoothie Cafe and Aldi and stuff. There's a fitness place there. There's a bunch of them throughout the city. So there's definitely options. The next reason that Venice will upgrade your lifestyle is the social life and community feel of the area. We've said this if you've watched the channel for any amount of time. Since we moved to the area, it's one of the reasons we moved to the area. It just has a good community feel to it. People seem very friendly, talkative, like to make small talk. Your neighbors are easy to get to know. We often say you get like a Florida family, and that basically means like you'll have like neighbors or different people you'll meet that you just kind of connect with and vibe with, or you just happen to live next to, and they become like your family. You kind of look out for each other and help each other out when you need it. But on top of that, like I've been mentioning, you can see all these things are tying together. Like there's all kinds of different activities and group events and things like that going on that bring the people together. On top of that, like with downtown Venice, there's all those different events that are always going on throughout the winter, and some in the summer as well for that matter, or on the beach. Sometimes they'll have stuff. But on top of that, they'll have like these things that like everyone comes out to, it feels like the Christmas parade. There's a different Christmas boat parade. They have one night where they keep the downtown shops and restaurants open for later, right before Christmas. And it's like this late night event. So there's just all kinds of cool things happening where you can mingle, get to know people, and just get out and about. And it's great to do that and get to know more people. And again, that's one of the reasons I really feel like Venice stands out from a lot of other areas we've seen in Florida. It just feels like there's a lot more of like a community feel. People take pride in the city. They want to look out for each other. They want to get to know each other. And I think that's one thing that's really, really cool. This is another one I think we do really, really well on, and that will help you upgrade your lifestyle by moving to Venice. And that is our arts and culture scenes. So what I mean by that is there is, again, like all the different events. A lot of them are kind of related to, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but a fair amount are related to arts or having like live music. There's a lot of live music going on during the winter months. Sometimes they'll have some in the pavilion by the downtown, different restaurants like Daiquiri Deck, and just about every restaurant, it feels like, will have a lot of different, one-man bands or sometimes smaller bands playing. And so you get a lot of that going on throughout the area. The Venice Community Center has different things and events going on. You've got art festival that they do in the downtown. It feels like they do 2 or 3, honestly, during the winter months. And then, of course, the Venice Theater, which is really cool. And I don't mean movie theater, like a theater, like with actors. You can actually take acting classes there, and they'll have like actual like plays and things like that. You can buy tickets to come watch. And it's actually, I always forget the actual statistic, but it's one of the biggest theaters, I think, per the population of the city. And like, I want to say the United States, definitely the state, but I want to say it's the United States. So there you go. Not a very good statistic, but I know it's one of the biggest. And they're actually doing some upgrades to the building right now too, so that's pretty exciting. But again, this is another thing I think that makes Venice uniquely positioned, because if that's not enough for you, like Sarasota excels at this kind of stuff. They've got the opera up there, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably gonna butcher it. I always say Van Wezel. I don't know if it's Van Wezel. I've heard some people saying Van Wezel. Art Center up there. There's just all kinds of stuff in Sarasota, and just like even like the downtown, there's sculptures and things like that, murals. Venice, for that matter, is really good for this. Lots of murals and things like that, and a few sculptures in our downtown and things like that. And so yeah, all that put together, just a cool scene for arts and culture. Next thing we got to talk about, and I won't go too crazy on this, because if I let myself, I'll go really crazy. Our food scene, man. Oh, I love food. I like to eat. We got some really good barbecue places, like Southern style food and barbecue. Daryl's is really good. Gold Rush Barbecue. There's some really good places also, talking more about the different areas around us. Like you go south of us in Inglewood. Some of our favorite places there, like Mango Bistro. There's a couple great French restaurants in Venice. There's a lot of waterfront dining options. I mentioned before Sharky's, so obviously seafood. I'm not a seafood person, so I can't speak on it. I don't like anything out of the water, fish, seafood, anything. But I've heard really good things about the Crow's Nest. Leave a comment if you've been there. We've got tons of Italian food options throughout the area, American. Soda Fountain Diner's pretty cool place. It's got a cool vibe because it's got like this retro thing going on. It's got the old school bar stools and signs up from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, checkers on the floor. It's a cool vibe. So, we got some places like that too that are just unique just for the atmosphere. But again, I don't want to go crazy on this section and make it too long. We've got a few videos on the channel already talking about our favorite places in Venice. You can check those out. Okay, next reason Venice will upgrade your life, and I want to be clear about this because I know I might get some pushback comments on this, and I want to make sure I'm keeping everything completely real with you regardless of those comments. But it's a slower pace of life in Venice compared to a lot of the rest of Florida, for sure. Now, here's some things to take into consideration with that. Overall, again, it's a little more chill. The traffic generally follows the speed limit. Tamiami Trail, one of the main roads going through Venice, it's 45 miles an hour, and most people are gonna drive right around that, give or take 5 miles an hour. So you don't see quite as many people in a rush or driving crazy fast. But I would say this, during the winter months, gets a little busier, a little more congested on all the roads, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be relative to where you're coming from. So, what I mean by that is, I'm from small town Wisconsin, population about 40,000 people, which is actually pretty similar to Venice, but Venice's population is tricky because we get so many more people here in the winters, so it's not our full-time population that comes on the census isn't necessarily representative of what the population is in the winter months, but that's a different story. But a smaller town, and actually I grew up in the country, so like quiet roads where maybe 5 or 6 cars will go down in the entire day. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Venice is a completely different animal from that. Even the closest city that was 40,000 people, traffic is about 30 miles an hour, 2 lanes on the busiest road. Venice, our main road, Tamiami Trail, is 3 lanes, 45 miles an hour. So if you're not used to that, it could feel like a shock. And that's city driving, that's going through the city. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Now, if you're on Venice Island, yeah, most of that's not 45 miles an hour. There's a little stretch of Tamiami going onto the island where it is 45, but most of it's like 30, I want to say 35 miles an hour or less. But you just got to be aware of that, So overall, slower pace of life, more friendly people like I mentioned. Traffic compared to other Florida cities is less and a little bit slower moving, I would say, as a whole. But again, it's going to be dependent on to what you're used to, if it's going to feel better or worse. But, when you put it into Florida context and you want to live in a beach city, I don't think it gets a whole lot better than this, or like maybe Inglewood just to the south. Again, if you're trying to find the exact right area for you on the Gulf Coast, get a hold of us and we can help you navigate that process. Reason number 8, Venice will upgrade your lifestyle, is if you're a dog lover, this is the city for you. Man, I see so many dogs out and about. We got, like I mentioned before, we got our dog beach. But you see dogs in the stores a lot. There's pet-friendly dining areas because a lot of areas you can sit outside. Just so much stuff going on. There's dog dishes in the downtown with like water bowls and things like that for your dogs, sometimes even treats. And yeah, just the city as a whole, I don't think I've ever lived anywhere else that's been this dog friendly, or visited for that matter, anywhere that's this dog friendly, and just where you see them out as much. They're very much a part of people's family around here. Going for a walk feels like 50% of people have a dog. So if you've got a furry friend, you're gonna like Venice for that. And it's nice to know that it's pretty accommodating for having, you know, more options of things you can do with your dog, and places you can go. We got dog parks, of course, as well on top of the dog beach. So definitely great for that side of things, and you and your dog can both be living that vacation lifestyle. Next reason moving to Venice will upgrade your lifestyle is we are great for nature. So, you know, a lot of gets talked about often about the development and things like that in Florida, but I think Venice has done a really good job of keeping a lot of nature involved with a lot of the city. And what I mean by this is obviously trees and things like that and nature preserves. But on top of that, there's lots of great trails, like I said before. And if you watch the videos for any amount of time, you see me often walking on a lot of walking trails, and lots of nature out there, gopher tortoises, all kinds of birds. I think there's black bears in Florida, but I've never seen one. So I don't know, I can't speak on that, but alligators. That's a thing. I don't know. A lot of people are worried about them. Honestly, you don't have much to worry about them. They usually stick to the water. And overall, I would say it's a net positive, just because it's fun to watch when you do see them. Like, we live in front of a retention pond, and we'll see a gator quite often. It's kind of fun to keep tabs on them. That side of things, and then obviously all the wildlife that goes with the ocean, you know, dolphins, manatees you can see, potentially sharks occasionally. And another thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is we are actually a bird sanctuary city. So birds are protected here, and there's just so many. I couldn't tell you what half the birds are that I see, but I'm just like, oh, that one's cool. I've seen that one before. I haven't seen this one before. There's just a lot of really unique birds here. Tropical birds, big birds, small birds, pink birds, unique birds, spoonbills. Have you ever seen those? Those things are cool. They look kind of like a flamingo, but they got like red eyes, and then their bill like almost looks like a platypus at the end, but it's really long. A really unique thing. And yeah, just great for nature though, and lots of nature preserves and parks with walking trails and things like that. And that I really, really love about Venice. Next reason Venice will upgrade your lifestyle is just the overall quality of life. I mean, it's kind of like putting all that into a package and basically living that vacation lifestyle. Now, like I always say on the channel, I like to keep it real with you guys. I'm not saying there's no downsides to living in Venice. That being said, I can't imagine many places being that much better. It hits all the things that for me, I really, really like about an area. And it's all those things I've mentioned. And you know, the beach access, the sense of community, the up and coming things that are new to the area, which I didn't even mention. You know, there's new, you know, like with Welland Park development happening with more commercial options and restaurants and shops coming. So there's an excitement and a buzz that comes with it as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to move to the area, we could talk about all the pros, all the cons, all the things that are or are not right for you. And that's our biggest thing. We always want to make sure that you're finding the right fit for you, because what we like isn't maybe what you like. And that's A-okay. You know, we're here to help you find your dream home and make that happen for you. So if you are looking to buy or sell a home anywhere from Sarasota down to Port Charlotte, Inglewood, or of course, Venice, Welland Park, Northport, get a hold of our team, 941-221-1897. We'd love to help you out and get you answers to those questions that are sometimes impossible to find online. In fact, a lot of them are. Avoid mistakes and save a lot of money. We've helped a lot of people move to the area actually and saved a ton of money recently. So get a hold of us. We want to make sure you get the best possible deal as well. And if you want to know more about what it is like to live in Venice, Florida, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching and live breezy.